Passive income or myth? The truth about making money with online courses. This is going to be a realistic breakdown of the profitability and sustainability of having an online education business. Because as an 8-figure course creator who helps other people create their own courses, I have seen so many people succeed beyond their wildest dreams. But I've also seen people fail. And I want to talk about why each of those happen because I want to set you up for success. So in this video, I'm going to reveal what works, what doesn't, and if it is actually a true source of passive income. Because most of the online gurus are really selling a dream here. They talk a lot about passive income, making money while you sleep. That's the dream that they're selling because usually they are selling something themselves. And I am no exception. I absolutely have a program. It is for course creators. It is the most impactful resource available, no matter where you are in your business. But that aside, I am all about shooting straight. Anyone who has worked with me over the last decade knows that I don't sugarcoat things. And so I'm here to really break this down for you. Because the misconception a lot of people are led to believe is that if you just create a course, the money will roll in. And that is not true. However, the fantastic news is because it is a scalable digital product, you are able to make more money with online courses than you probably have ever thought possible. They are not truly passive in the sense that you can just set it and forget it, but they are pretty passive once you get going because you do most of the work on the front end. And if you refine every step of your process, every step of your automations, your program, your messaging, your marketing, you can get to a place where you are working very minimally and having a fully thriving online education business. And how you structure it matters too. The other thing to consider is there's so many different elements to answering this question. For example, you have people in the high ticket space with programs that are $3,000 and more, and that can allow you to generate millions of dollars each year. In fact, it can lead to some $1 million months like I've had. Or you can have a program that is just really there in order for you to have a better life with more freedom, more time freedom and financial freedom. Maybe you just want to make $10,000 extra a month, or maybe that's what you want your life to look like. There's so many different ways to structure your course and how you're marketing your course in order to achieve both of those goals. But there are a lot of realities around creating an online education business that is not only successful, but sustainable that's important to kind of go over. And I want to make sure that I'm not sugarcoating it and that you know exactly what you're getting into, or if you're already on that path, if you've already created an online program, so that you can realize that maybe the thing that sold you into doing this in the first place wasn't quite what you thought it would be. And hopefully I can give you a more realistic picture of what your life actually looks like, which can really alleviate a lot of stress around the idea of like, am I doing this right? I know I had a lot of that when I was first starting out. So here are some of the realities of online course creation. First, it includes a lot of research. You are gonna want to be somebody who likes to learn and to grow because you are probably going to have to learn skills that complement what you already know. Now, let me be clear, there are a lot of tools and resources and even freelancers and people you can hire to help you do the heavy lifting. However, I think it's really important that you learn some of the basics of online course creation and marketing so that you have enough of an understanding to make sure even when you hire someone that they're doing a good job. So when you think about it though, that happens on the front end. Once you create the course and the program, what you're going to be doing from there on out is usually just refinement. And that will come pretty naturally from working with students as you realize, oh, there's something that people are having a hard time with. Let me create a resource to solve that problem. And then the marketing machine is actually the same way. Once you set it up and you use the automations and the wonderful software that's available to us today, you can set it up such that the same pieces of marketing materials, emails, sales pages, lead magnets, are running for years to come. I have sales funnels, not only that I've made for myself, but for my clients that have been running for like 6 to 8 years. That's crazy. That means we did a ton of work on the front end and we had to tweak some things as things shifted or changed, but most of the work was done on the front end. And then we reaped the rewards as time went on. The other thing that's really important to keep in mind is that your scaling systems, your funnel, which is like all the different marketing elements along the customer journey, again, your emails, your sales pages, and your top of funnel strategy, meaning how new people find you. So maybe it's YouTube organic, maybe it's Instagram Reels, maybe it's Facebook and Instagram ads. All of those things will require ongoing inputs and refinement. So obviously, this makes it not exclusively passive, because in order for you to have people continuously coming into your program, you will need to do what's called lead generation, bringing people to you. New people. Another thing that will help you have a sustainable online education business is considering the customer journey and potentially having offers that meet people at different parts of the customer journey. That's how you make sure that you have people who keep coming back for more. Now, this isn't necessary, and it's also not something that you need to do right when you're starting out. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes I see course creators make is that they have too many offers and they end up needing multiple funnels and multiple marketing strategies and messaging and positioning, and it can really turn into a runaway problem that is going to make it such that you have basically multiple businesses, which truly is the fastest way to burn out. But keep in mind, it is really healthy for your business as an online educator to meet your customer at different parts of the customer journey. So, is income from online courses passive income? It's pretty dang passive once you refine your system, but also you get to decide how involved you want to be. If you create a digital product that is just a course, like just a standalone course with no live elements, that will be far more passive than something that has a live Q&A or live coaching. And that's what needs to usually be added in order to get to that high ticket space. That's where you see people making really big numbers in the online education space. We're talking $10 million a year, things like that. Those are usually high ticket programs, anything that's $3,000 and above. But the reality is the only true sources of passive income are returns on investments like in stocks, or earning royalties from either a course that you created or a book, but it would need to be something where there isn't any ongoing work. Other things that people like to say are passive income, like rental income or affiliate marketing, are pretty similar to online courses in the sense that there usually is still some sort of input. I mean, unless you completely remove yourself from the rental process and you have, a property manager, that can be an option. Or with affiliate marketing, if you're not doing the things that need to happen in order to create affiliate income, but usually affiliate marketers need to actually write blogs, run ads, whatever it is, which is actually quite similar to your top of funnel strategy for an online education product. And so they're not really truly passive either, unless you hire people to run it and really take a step back. Now, in my experience, because I have run many different models of my online education business and I've helped other people set up many different ways of doing it, it can be pretty dang passive, meaning you could put in as little as a few hours a week. I'm talking like 3 to 5. That's pretty amazing. And quite frankly, it's one of the reasons I love teaching digital product creation and scaling, is because I am on a mission to help people live more full lives with as much freedom as they can get their hands on. And this is one of the best ways I have found for people to do that. The other thing that's really amazing about online courses is that you get to teach something that you are really excited and passionate about and knowledgeable on, or even if you're not knowledgeable on it now, you will become an expert through all the research needed in order to put this out into the world. And that's amazing, because money will only motivate you to a point, at least me. At the end of the day, I want to be having a positive impact on the lives of people who I come in contact with. That's what lights my fire. That's what keeps me going. And so I have a feeling that if you're anything like me, this is also a really good tool and path for you if you want to do something that is more based in your passion and something that you're really excited about bringing into the world. Okay, so let's talk about the essential elements of a profitable, lucrative, sustainable online course. First things first, People buy transformations. People buy solutions. They do not buy the actual course. In fact, this is one of the biggest mistakes I see course creators make, especially on their sales pages, as they will list out the curriculum and everything you get. But the reality is most people don't actually care what is in it, what is the nitty-gritty of the program. What they want to know is, will you actually help them achieve the transformation that they're looking for? And the most profitable courses are the ones that solve urgent problems or fulfill big dreams. So it's really important to do a little market research. That doesn't need to be overly complicated. What you want to do is, one, see if somebody else out there has a program similar to yours. If they do, that's great. It actually tells you that there is a demand for it, most likely. You can also do some keyword research using Google or YouTube or Ubersuggest. See if people are actually searching for the solution to the problem. You can also ask your audience. Most often, I work with people who have already taught what it is they're creating a program about, but they've done it in a one-to-one setting and they want to digitize it so that they can scale it, so that they can experience some of that time and financial freedom that is just impossible to get when you've tied your earning potential from your time. Because when you are working in a one-to-one setting, you are capped by the amount of hours you have and the amount of hours you can work. It is just a simple fact that you've created your own glass ceiling. So digital products are a great way for you to free yourself from that trap. The next thing you need after you have your transformation nailed down is your unique angle. So this is the thing that's going to set you apart from what is out there. I have seen so many people be successful when they have gone on to teach a particular skill set to a particular group of people. For example, there's an incredible amount of financial literacy programs online, but I've seen people get successful in niching down into a particular group. So maybe it's financial literacy for creatives or financial literacy for entrepreneurs. When you get more specific, you actually are able to target in on a group of people. And when you do your marketing, you'll be able to get in front of them and speak to their pain points and their desires much more effectively. So it's not necessarily about being better than what's out there. It's about being different. And also your unique personality, opinions, theories, ideas, experiences are a huge part of what is going to give you that unique edge, that unique angle. So with that in mind, take a look around. What have you found? How can you niche down? How can you specialize in a particular group? Always remembering that you don't have to, it just can really help give you some clarity on what makes you special. The next step is to actually create transformation with your course content. Again, people buy results, not the curriculum. They quite frankly don't care how you're going to get them there. They just want to know that you can. And so with this in mind, you want to structure your program so that there is the maximum chance that people will actually complete it, because online course completion rates are actually pretty bad. That's one of the reasons I usually do recommend at least a community and a live Q&A with you. Because if you just show up each week, and it's usually not that long, maybe 30 minutes, and answer everyone's questions, you will be learning so much more about what you need to put into your program to make it better. And they'll be having some FaceTime with you. They'll feel supported. It will help them with accountability. And the community does that too. It is a game changer when it comes to creating accountability within your students. The other thing you want to do is you want to keep your lessons simple, as short as they can be, concise, and actionable. I always recommend that you have something that they do after they watch a lesson so that they can apply whatever you've taught to their own personal experience. This could be filling out a workbook, answering questions, actually going out into the world and doing something. All of those things will help so much with making them feel as though they are progressing and learning and taking the information and applying it to themselves. You can also gamify your program and have things like leaderboards or challenges or giveaways. You could have a certification for different parts of the process. All of these things really help with motivation and getting people the transformation that they're looking for. On top of having like a live Q&A, you can also have actual live coaching support. And that actually can be done by other people. And that can be a great way to give a lot of hands-on support to people in the program without actually taking up more of your time. Okay, so we've talked about the program, and now we got to talk about the marketing systems, your marketing machine, and how you get to automate as much of this as possible. And this is the thing truly that will make this as passive as it can be. In fact, what most people don't realize is that most of the creation, which happens on the front end, that will be about 20% of the work that you do as a course creator. The rest of it is going to be promotion and getting in front of new people. That's about 80% of the work that you do as a course creator. So, what are some important factors to keep in mind? You want to make sure you have a rock solid funnel. And this is not something that you'll start out with right away. In fact, I usually recommend people start with a beta test, meaning they bring in a few people as they build out their program and they validate their offer. You'll learn so much by engaging with people one-on-one. If you've already done this in a one-to-one service situation, you usually don't need to do that, and you can skip right into course creation and then into creating your marketing funnel. Now let's talk about what a common marketing funnel for an online course looks like. There's a lead magnet, which brings people into your actual funnel, and usually that's a free piece of content like a masterclass, a webinar, an ebook, a checklist, recipes, templates, guides, and then that will take you into your email sequence, which will be a sales email sequence where you tell a little bit more of your story, you share case studies, you share testimonials, you connect with them, and then usually it will take them to a sales page where there'll be more information about the program itself, and that will be actually where they're purchased. This is a very simplified version of a funnel, but I just want to make sure that you have a big picture idea of what it looks like in case you're not aware. But if you're watching this video, you probably already have a good idea. So here's the thing about the funnel. What you're going to want to do is as you build it out and create it, you're going to want to go through and make sure you know that it's refined. What do I mean by that? You want to make sure that at least 20% of people are opting into your lead magnet. You want to make sure that you have at least a 20% open rate on your emails and at least a 1 to 2% click-through rate on your emails. And then your sales page should also be converting at minimum 20%. Now, because I have a background in marketing and I'm a copywriter, my numbers are much higher. So I typically see a 40 to 50% opt-in rate, a 40% open rate on my emails, a 2%, 3% click-through rate on my emails, and then my sales pages usually convert well over 20%, usually around 40%. So that's the power. And when you think about it, every time you increase in percentage, that's a lot more people who are not slipping through the cracks, which means your marketing efforts don't need to be as robust because you're getting the most out of your funnel, if that makes sense. That's why refining your funnel is so important. And again, my sales pages have been running for like 4, 5, 6 years. I have clients who have sales pages who have been running for like 8 years. And then emails, same thing. Some of them have been running for about 6 years now. It's pretty wild how you can do so much work on the front end, and then once you refine it, it is pretty hands-off. Now, the one thing that is not hands-off is lead generation. And if you don't have an audience, you're not going to have any sales. So you need to have an audience in some way, shape, or form. There are organic methods, which are typically free, but a little bit more time consuming. This includes things like YouTube, social media, blogging, podcasting, things like that. These take a little bit longer to grow, and they are playing the long game for sure. Then there's paid strategies, which can be a lot faster, and I'm a huge fan of. This includes Facebook and Instagram ads and YouTube ads and Google ads. These require a little bit more knowledge around marketing, or at least you want to make sure that you're working with a solid mentor before you start dumping ad dollars into it. But it's a lot faster, quite frankly, especially once you've got it nailed down. The one thing you should know, though, is it's a really good idea to make sure that your funnel is refined before you start putting ad money into it. And then there's other things you can do, like you can actually charge for your lead magnet so that it's a self-liquidating offer, meaning that what people are paying for when they actually purchase that lead magnet is actually helping you cover the cost of your ads. I really love doing that sometimes as well. Maybe I'll have a workshop that's $47 and I'll bring in $10K in ad revenue, and that will cover my ad cost for that particular launch of that lead magnet. But this is getting a little complicated and in the nitty-gritty, but I wanted you to have a good bird's eye view of what it looks like to have a sustainable online course business. And then I've kind of brushed over it, but those emails that you write, they are the number one asset in your business. Your email list is essential as a course creator. It's because it's a channel you own. You have so much more control over it. You know, it's not at the mercy of algorithms like social media is. and even ads. And so it's something that you want to make sure you've really refined and you've really gotten to a place where you're getting the most out of it. Another thing to think about, especially when you're starting out, is doing some sort of joint venture or borrowing other people's audiences, meaning collaborating with people who you have a complementary program to get in front of their people. You can also set up an affiliate program for your students to help them get the word out. This will usually cause them to create things like reviews and blogs and YouTube videos, which can be super helpful in kind of spreading the word about the program that you've created. And you get to pay your students for helping you do so, which I'm always way more excited to pay my students than I am to pay Zuck. Remember, you don't need all of this right away, but as you start to grow your business and implement these things, it will help you make this more passive because you're leveraging things that will make it such that your business is running kind of on its own and generating leads in ways that doesn't always require input from you. The other thing we got to talk about when considering all of this is the difference between evergreen and live launches. Now, I have taught this extensively. I have helped my clients with this as a copywriter, and I have done it myself. And I have come to a place where I really value live launches. There's a reason that some big names do live launches. Evergreen is great because there's some predictability in your month-to-month income. However, it requires a lot more complexity, a bigger team, more revenue, there's higher expenses. It's a fantastic model. In fact, it's the one that will get you to 8 figures and beyond. However, live launches is fantastic for a small team. It's also fantastic when you don't want to always be selling. You know, that's something that has become really important to me. I don't always want to be selling and marketing. It can get really exhausting. So an evergreen model requires a constant flow of students. A live launch model allows you to get more out of your audience because, quite frankly, the scarcity creates higher conversion rates. So it requires fewer team members. It doesn't require as much work, in my opinion. It can feel kind of stressful, but what I've noticed over the years in working with people is usually that stress is self-imposed and can be kind of counterbalanced with some solid mindset work. But at the end of the day, you really could be doing a combination of both. And that can be something that you can look into as you kind of grow as a course creator. You can have periods of evergreen, periods of live launches. You can do that with really wonderful bonuses and things that people get only when they sign up in that live launch. So if you are interested in creating an online course, and especially if you're interested in going to 7 figures or 8 figures and beyond, this is what you need to know. It is not fully passive, but there's very few things that are, even though the online gurus love to say that it's passive, and they also like to say the other things that are typically coined as passive are passive too. But when you really think about it, there is some initial work, and there also is some ongoing work to make sure things run smoothly. A couple of final tips for you in order to scale and grow and maximize your online education business, if that's what you want to do. Remember, it's perfectly acceptable to have it just be bringing in a few $1,000s each month. That's okay too. But if you want to scale and you want to get the most out of it, a few things you want to keep in mind are creating an ecosystem, not just a course, meaning you have a community, you have ways to stay in touch with the people who are working with your program. You can also create multiple offers, which will help you meet the needs of your customers at different part of their customer journey. Another thing you want to consider is having a recurring revenue model, so a membership or a subscription. That's when you feel comfortable providing consistent content that people are actively paying monthly for. And that creates recurring revenue for your business, which is just the best. And the other thing that you can consider if you want to keep scaling is adding a high ticket mastermind. Obviously, that is not passive income, but is a great revenue generating element of an online education business. All right, so if you are a course creator or thinking about being a course creator, I have literally, hands down, the best community for you to be a part of. It includes a proprietary AI tool that is going to do the heavy lifting for you in every aspect of your business. It's truly mind-blowing. And you get access to a course that takes you from start to finish. You also get access to weekly live calls with me. This is not a live Q&A. This is actually something where we will engage together. And you get access to a wonderful community of supportive course creators who are really excited to cheer you on and be there for you on the hard days. If that sounds good to you, I've dropped a link in the description. And if this was helpful at all, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, because that's a really easy, free way to support me so that I can keep making content like this. And of course, please leave questions in the comments. Give me your thoughts. I would love to hear what you think about this whole, like, is it passive income? How do you feel about what everybody's saying online about it? I want to hear from you because it's where I get ideas for my future videos. So thanks so much for being here, and I hope you have an awesome day.